Hey, it's Jeremy from jeremy.net. I'm a comic book artist, writer, creator, self-publisher, and I share my creative process here with you online. If you enjoy these live streams, would like to get additional bonus live streams twice a month, you can become a Patreon subscriber for as little as $2 a month. Head on over to patreon.com/Jeremy. It's patreon.com/GERIMI. Should be links in the description for the video. If you'd like to get a free digital sketchbook, work in progress, animated GIFs delivered right to your inbox, blog posts, what I'm reading, what I'm watching, what's inspiring me creatively, you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter at newsletter.jeremy.net. And if you'd like to purchase physical copies of my books, or if you read digitally on Kindle, you can go to amazon.jeremy.net. That will forward you to my Amazon author page. You can head on over there and check those out. And if you'd like to see what's inside the books before you pick them up, you can head on over to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/GERIMI. And there are book flip throughs of all these books. You can check them out before you buy. Okay, so from the top of the video, first off, I'm still not 100% healthy, and the medication I've been taking is making my eyes super red. There's like a saline rinse that I have to use to clean my sinuses. For some reason, the rinse is also irritating my eyes. I guess because, sinuses, eyes, nose, it's all connected. Still not 100%. On that note, this live stream is going to be the last live stream of 2023. And I see Scotty in the chat. Hey, on Twitch. Scotty, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Always nice to see some Twitch folk here. I'm going to be doing an art live stream here, doing a little bit of charcoal drawing. I mix it up. Usually my channel is mostly figure drawing oriented or comic book oriented. But I'm going to talk a little bit about that right now at the start of this episode. So anyway, this is going to be the last live stream for 2023. And I'm going to take off 3 weeks, maybe 4. So I may not be back until second week of January, mostly because I just need some downtime to get healthier again, but also to kind of get a jump on getting the next comic book going, because the writing process has been taking way too long, and I need to kind of nail down the things that I'm not happy with, make changes, get that sorted, get ready to kickstart again. I will say that we are going to have one more. Hang on, let me turn off that little Amazon banner there. We are going to have one more Patreon exclusive live stream. We're going to have our art book study group. We're going to have the last one of the year this coming Wednesday. That's going to be 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we're going to have one more. This is the last one for the public live streams. One more Patreon live stream, and then we're just going to just have a little downtime, a little holiday chill time to kind of recharge, regroup. I think all creative people need that. So into drawings. Before I get into the actual drawing, I'm going to show you a little bit of what I've been working on. Let me bring down the camera here. So, as you guys know, for me, frequently, an important part of my creative process is just studying, just learning, trying to improve. And mostly that takes the form of figure drawing classes, or in the case of art book study group, just going through great educational material, just kind of learning, looking, trying to analyze some of the best art books around, try to suck out all the knowledge I can. I think that's something I've mentioned before. The whole point of art book study group is that, as artists, we often say, why aren't I getting better? Why aren't I growing as fast as I want, as fast as I would like? And yet we have all of these art materials, art books that we've amassed, courses, and we never actually look at them, never actually study them. So the whole point of the Patreon exclusive live stream we've been doing is sit down some of the best art books around and just study. Just take them out, do studies from them, try to analyze the concepts. Do I actually understand this anatomical idea? Do I understand this lighting or shading idea? So been working on that. Excuse me, I got to cough a little bit. I always have to remember, my greatest fear is I don't unmute myself and then forget to unmute myself. But this mic having a cough button right there is actually very handy. Sometimes I cough and I don't use it, but so what we're looking at here are some head studies from Carl Ganass. I've been taking his heads, hands, and feet class at figuredrawingschool.com. So these are some of the studies from my last session. And normally, what I do is I just sit down and I redraw them. I just sit and draw another sketch next to it, just looking at it, saying, well, what are the anatomical problems with this one, with what I did during class? So these are all like 5-minute sketches. Actually, some of them I think might be like 3-minute sketches because, expressions are hard to hold for a long period of time. But what I've been doing a little bit differently is I'm also, if I can show you over here, I think I'm going to have to raise the camera even higher to really give you a chance to see what it is that I'm doing. I think you're going to have to be able to see. So you're not going to have the nice close-up detailed shot. But I think, A, I'm drawing larger, and B, just to get a sense of what I'm doing here. I really love the way that smooth newsprint looks with figure drawings. It gives kind of a slick, almost marker paper type feel, but at the same time, it doesn't smear. And I've been trying to find different types of drawing pads. I'm going to show you over here. Now, I went to an art store and I asked one of the people that work there about smooth drawing papers for charcoal. And like most people, the conventional wisdom is do not use smooth drawing paper because it will just smear. And I actually have some samples over on the side, but there's some nudes, so I'll leave those off. But point being is that, yeah, charcoal pencil really does smear a lot when you use it on something that doesn't have tooth. It isn't a rough paper. But I've been hunting, trying to find a paper that is archival, that I can do finished works on, but that has the finish of smooth newsprint. So let me see here. This is one sketchbook. I don't think I've actually done any studies in this one yet. So I may use this a little bit during this session. But it's like a nice 68-pound. I think I may have bought this at Michael's, or I may have just ordered a sketchbook online. Sometimes I just randomly will order art supplies just to try stuff out. Now, generally speaking, I love Strathmore. I use their Bristol boards for all of my comics. I use their mixed media boards when I do little paint or watercolor studies. But I put a little post in here saying meh, only because I tried the laid finish, which I think is just supposed to be a little bit of a smoother texture. And I've got a couple of studies that I did on here. And what I'll do is I'll write the paper, excuse me. I'll write the paper weight, and I'll usually write what which kind of pencil I used. Let's see here. A couple more head studies in here. So these are really loose, and I didn't actually write the paper on this one, but these I tried doing during class using some 2B charcoal pencil. And I think if you're doing a long study, the texture would be nice. Here's another one. This one was a little bit longer. This is another one of me doing redraws of work from class. And it's not that the texture is bad per se, but it just doesn't give me the feel. Like when I compare that to the smooth newsprint, and I even tried doing one on the back side that has less texture. That didn't really work for me. But in comparison to the types of marks that I get from drawing on smooth newsprint. It holds the tone. It'll give me nice, smooth, broad tones. And so I thought maybe it's the fact that I'm trying to force the wrong drawing tool onto these different papers. So then I went back to experimenting with a bunch of different types of papers. Let's see here. Simple figure study with a 4B charcoal pencil. That's on this. I don't even know where I would get more of this. This is just an old pad of recycled sketch paper that I've had laying around. Really, I keep it because if in case I need to do anything on tone paper, that's really the main reason. And some Canson pastel paper, which is very rough, but I intentionally it's two-sided. And so I tried using the back side, and it's honestly a little bit better than some of these other ones, but it doesn't feel that much different from, say, the drawings that I did on Bristol board. So all of that is to say that I switched now to trying out different types of drawing material to see if I can get a better tone. What I wanted to do is see which one of these feels like the feeling that I want, and then try applying one of these different sticks to the other paper. So for instance, as opposed to what I normally draw with, which is, let me find one that's a full stick that isn't inside a lead holder. So normally I work with General's charcoal sticks. I either use 2B or 4B. Excuse me. But I switched now, and I tried some using a compressed charcoal, also General's compressed chalk. And I was able to find a black Conti crayon that I had laying around here, a Conti of Paris. And that one so far feels the most like what I enjoy using. But I've got a few more charcoal sticks in here, and I've just been going through and doing drawings, little sketches where I'm redrawing works from class. And the odd thing really is getting used to drawing really large, because when I'm drawing with these big sticks, it's like it's not a small pencil. You know, in terms of making marks, I need to draw bigger in order to get tones in there, in order to just get simple forms. I mean, the nice thing is you can block in an area quickly. Let me see here. So nice thing is you can block in an area quickly, but once you do that block in, doing the detail is very difficult. Well, not very difficult, but it requires patience that I don't normally use. Like for me, I am somebody who likes to work quickly. I don't really want to sit and do hours and hours of rendering, which from looking at my illustration videos, you wouldn't think that, because I'll have a piece that I'm working on for like a month at a time. But if anything, most of that time is working out composition and anatomy and color choices. I actually really don't spend that much time rendering. If anything, I prefer a rendering style that's similar to just like 70s and 80s comic book rendering, where the detail is mostly in the line art and the the rendering itself, rendering's in the line art, and the colors are mostly just flat color. That's really what I prefer. Excuse me. Yeah, not making much use of that cough button, because by the time I reach over and grab it, I'm already done. So this is not a charcoal that when I was showing you different materials that I was using, this isn't one that I showed you before. It's a Derwent Alpha charcoal. I guess the real challenge here is just adapting to the type of touch that you need. Oh, something I forgot to do. In all of the practice sketches I've been doing, obviously I've got my got my computer that I'm streaming from. But, I've got digital devices all around. I'm constantly reaching and touching. One of the things that I tried out, and I know it's silly to want to be clean and pristine. It's very fussy because, art tends to be a messy process. But I did find that just wearing some nitrile gloves, you pick these up at most grocery stores in kind of the medical departments. They're like the medical gloves, not like dishwashing gloves. The kind that somebody who's drawing your blood would be wearing. So it gives you a good feel. But the nice thing is now I can handle this and get much messier and not have it all over my fingers, so that when I need to do something, I can just take the gloves off. And, if I need to touch a digital device while I'm drawing, I can just use my left hand. But if I need my hands, or when I'm done with a session, just taking the gloves off. It's something I'm trying for the first time with this, but for many, many years, I would wear gloves while inking traditionally, when I'm inking comic books, just so that it would minimize any smudging or smearing on the page. So what I'm doing, just to give you a bit of reference, this drawing up here, very unfinished. And more often than not, the main goal I'm trying to do when I'm in figure drawing class is just get down enough detail that I can come back and draw a more finished version of whatever it is I'm trying to get in class. Because, the poses we tend to do in class are not like 30-minute, hour-long poses. They tend to be, 3-minute, 5-minute, 10, 15-minute, depending on what the model's doing. Which some people might find wholly unsatisfying. I know that there's a whole crowd of people who like to go for like a a Sunday brunch and drawing thing, and they've got like the model has a 3-hour pose, and they've got the tape down so that the model can take her breaks and then still get back into the same pose again. I think that there's a lot of value from doing a long focused study, but it isn't necessarily what I enjoy. And by the way, I always keep trying to remember to tell myself at the start of the live stream to tell people, if you're a new viewer, subscribe. If you're an old viewer, hit that like button. If there's friends you think that would enjoy this, hit the share button. I usually wait till the very end when people are logging off to say that. So just trying to get into better habits. So a lot of times I take a good long while before I get into features in detail, because I'm trying to fix the structure of the drawing. And I figure if I get the structure down, then I can go in and work on details. But if I start drawing the details and there's still flaws in the structure, it's kind of like polishing a turd. Like, what's the point? Now, I will tell you, this is another thing right here that takes me a while to get used to, because I know I can just go in here with a cloth and knock down all of these shadows. But normally with charcoal pencil, I can come in and I can lay down a soft tone with just the pencil alone, and it'll be fairly smooth. And it'll allow me to go in and just first separating the darks from the lights. But then allowing me to create areas of focus. But with this, it feels like the line between the detail areas, between creating halftone and just going right into like dark shadow, it feels like that happens much quicker here. I don't necessarily have the margin of error that I have with charcoal pencil. And I think that's what I'm kind of looking for in these experiments with different papers and different tools. And I should tell you, this process, like just the sketching I'm doing right now, this is kind of me shooting in the dark, because even if I get a drawing that feels like what I want it to feel like, this sketch right now is still on newsprint. I'm sketching to see if I can find another thing that gives me a similar effect. I still need to find the new paper that does what I want it to do. I'm trying to think of these areas like the lower eyelid, thinking of them in terms of like planes of light and shadow. So I'm trying not to work with lines so much. Particularly because this is a thick material. Let's see here. Voyagers in the chat says, hi, is this live? Yeah, this is live. You can talk, we can ask questions, we can talk process. Yeah, we are full on 365 live. Let's see here. And thank you for watching, Voyager. James says, my old buddy James, thank you for chiming in, dropping in. And he says, I know you talked about drawing from imagination and using reference. Would old drawings be considered reference? I was going off of those somewhat when I was drawing creatures past week, but I recall some of the shapes and ideas that I'd experimented with before into my creatures. And he says, I'm trying to lift up the pencil less and less while drawing. Well, first, in terms of past drawings as reference, I 100% say yes. Past drawings are great reference. And the reason why I make such a big deal about redrawing my drawings from figure drawing class is because those drawings have observation in them, but at the same time, those drawings also have whatever artistic bad habits I have in them. And by redrawing my past drawings, what they allow me to do is sit down and really dig into what do I want to change about how I draw. Like, for instance, with this one, I think that while I did push the left eye in a little bit, the right eye is probably a little bit too far out. This whole structure, rather the eye socket needs to be in a little bit closer. And that's something I tend to do, is I tend to make the right eye out. Whatever eye is closest to the viewer tends to be too far away from the bridge of the nose. And it's tricky because there is the very narrow window between in too close, out too far, and just right. And that just right seems like it is literally the width of like a single line. One way or the other can just wreck a drawing. But also on the topic, just in terms of using your old work, I mean, that's why we have sketchbooks. My sketchbooks are not these beautiful masterpieces. You see artists who will do sketchbook tours and they'll show you like all of these beautifully rendered pieces. And I am amazed. I am impressed, but it is not what I do. And it's not what I use sketchbooks for. I think, and if you're somebody who wants to do that, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but I find that I use sketchbooks as a place for collecting and sorting visual ideas. Most of my sketchbooks are full of scribbles and notes and undecipherable, like a lot of the times the notes are there because I'm not even going to know what this is if I look at it later. This hand is, I think, a little bit too small for this head. I guess should probably maybe be about this much wider. In fact, I'll just cheat that in there. So, yeah, but I think that you can get a lot out of taking your old, your old sketches and either redrawing them or just using them as ways to work through ideas. That to me is what sketches are really for. So I highly recommend that. Yes, use your sketches, but also there's always going to be a certain aspect of a rough sketch that you're going to be chasing. There's a certain magical quality of something where even if the drawing itself is crappy, the idea that you expressed, you're like, oh, I can never quite get that idea again. I think that you have to, one, be aware of what that aspect of the drawing is, because I think that is something that we want to try and preserve. And a lot of times when you're redrawing a piece that's not coming out right, it's because you're not getting that essence. But two, to be aware that you may not be able to capture that again, and you have to be willing to find a way to let whatever the new drawing is become whatever it's going to be. But three, because now I'm going back and forth and back and forth. Three, I have found that when there is a magical quality to the sketch that I can't recreate, I will either, with tracing paper, trace it down, or I will take that sketch, scan it, and then print the sketch at a low opacity, like turn it down to like 10% or 20%, maybe like a light blue color, and then print that onto Bristol board or paper and redraw that and draw on top of that sketch, trying to get back that thing that I couldn't quite get. So let's see here. Voyager says, oh, thanks. I'm thinking of making a 10-second animated ad and sell it to my local phone company with zero animation experience. I have decent drawing skills, though. Do you think I should venture into that? Well, making an ad first, excuse me, and then trying to sell it to your local company, I think that's a lot of work to do for something that is done on spec. I think that it's a question of how long it's going to take you to do that 10-second ad. Because if you do a 10-second ad and it takes you maybe a month to do, that's actually, I think, pretty good for making a 10-second piece of animation. And what happens is that can then become a portfolio piece that you can use to sell to other people. But the first question is, does your local, did you say it was your phone company? Does your local phone company do advertising already? And if so, what form does their advertising take? Is it print? Is it digital? Is it animation? Do they do live action commercials? Because it might be that you might be able to sell them a piece of animation, but if they do live action commercials, then you might be better off trying to become a storyboard artist for whoever does their commercials. If you're looking to get into advertising art, I think storyboarding, and mind you, I have never worked full-time as a storyboard artist. I have done storyboards for production videos in the past, but it was many, many years ago. I've done storyboarding for personal projects, but I've never worked full-time as a storyboard artist. That said, as a commercial venture, that is a good way to get your foot in the door. I think what might be a way to approach it. I don't want to tell you if this, my point is that it is not a bad idea or a good idea. It is really a matter of what does the market around you need right now. So it might be worth looking at local businesses in general. Phone companies sounds like it's the first one. Maybe make a list of like 5 or 10 local businesses. Then look at what type of advertising they do. And then maybe look at what they do better, what they could do better. And based on that, you might say, all right, these people might benefit from some bus stop posters. These people might benefit from some web ads. These people might benefit from an animated video. Look at what would most benefit the advertising for your local customers. Look at what you could do the easiest and what lends itself to your skill set. What are you able to actually do well and quickly? And then look at where those cross over. Where those cross over, then maybe you do a pitch packet. Maybe it's just a matter of a couple simple drawings, some sort of sample piece of this is the type of work that I would do. Yeah, something like that. I would probably do a little bit more research into why they would hire you so that you can make something that people will say, oh, I want this. This will help my business. So I hope that answer is helpful because it's not a specific yes or no. It's do more research on your customers first and then see what will help them the best. And if you can also, it's not necessarily a bad thing to look at competitors of those customers, competitors of the local businesses, and look at what competitors are doing in terms of advertising. Because if you can show people, hey, well, this company is doing really cool animation and they're kicking your ass in sales, I can do something for you that is as good or better, and hopefully you can get your sales up. That I think is a good way to go towards it, to go for it. Let's see here. Voyager says they do poor acted TV ads. I feel like I can outdo their best ads. They sometimes do animated ads, but they're just mainstream, mass-produced art style that they use animation applications like Adobe. Well, all right. Well, there you go. You've already seen what they're doing. So I think that it is worthwhile for you to, and that's the other thing. You have to look at how long it's going to take you to make your animated ad versus how much you think that you can charge them and how much they'll pay for it. The reason why they might be doing really generic mass-produced ads might simply come down to cost. They're not going to pay as much to do a hand-drawn frame by frame well animated piece. I'm not saying that they won't pay that. I'm saying that might be the reason why the animation isn't as flashy as you would like. Also, something else I might recommend, because I'm big on doing excuse me, doing research to try and find answers to the types of questions you're asking. What I would say is if you can find out the name of the company or the animator that has done their animated ads, and then look at that company or that animator's website, look at their portfolio, look at the types of work that they're doing, look at the type of clients they're doing. And I'm not saying this, I don't like the idea of art being competitive. I really do think there are enough clients for everybody. It's just there aren't necessarily good clients. Some clients are either cheap or they nitpick every detail or they're micromanaging or they're just not very pleasant to work with. But it is worthwhile to look at the types of clients that the person who's already done animated ads for them, like what type of work do they do? And then try to find similar clients, because if they got work, you can probably find work. So that's what I would say. And if you don't already have a portfolio that's advertising related and that's the direction you want to go in, then you probably want to start building a portfolio. And by the way, it is perfectly legitimate to create a portfolio for a company that you have not worked on. For instance, doing a Coca-Cola ad or doing an ad for a car company, as long as you label it presentation piece or a pitch piece. You never want to say that you worked for someone that you did not work for. You don't want to misrepresent yourself. But doing a sample piece that is geared towards a high-end client and saying, I made this as a pitch, as a promotional piece, that is completely legitimate as long as you clearly label it so. Let's see here. before the comment skips up in the feed there, I want to catch James says, yeah, I know Kevin Eastman had notes in his sketchbook when he was drawing Ninja Turtles. Oh, yeah, when we were talking about sketchbooks and how they're nice or not necessarily pretty or super messy. By the way, this whole thing about testing out different paper. So I grabbed some Strathmore 400 series drawing paper, and it's really nice paper. It is 80 pound. It's pretty thick. Oddly enough, not as thick as the pastel paper that I was using and some of the other ones, but I do feel like this is something I could do finished charcoal pieces on. It's not as thick as the mixed media board, which I really do like. But also still very smeary. This is with, I think that I was using 4B pencil for this. Then I did a couple of head studies. This is with the General's chalk. So it's General's pastel chalk as opposed to compressed charcoal. And I like the way that it looks, but it is still too rough. I did a second one just to try it, and it feels like the subtlety of going from dark to light. I didn't have as much control. And then I switched just for comparison on the same paper. So above is the black pastel chalk, and this is the General's 4B pencil that I normally will draw with. And again, both of them feel like they're pretty dark. The HB Conte crayon, I think Conte crayon might be the stuff that I want to go with because it gives me a lighter range. It doesn't go all the way to black. The main thing that I have trouble with is laying down nice, smooth, broad tones. And this is going back to 4B compressed charcoal. And this just gave me this would look beautiful if I were working on a huge, like 18 by 24 sheet of paper. But on its own, it was just super messy. 2B charcoal stick. And now I want to go and take that, the charcoal that I was just using. It's Derwent. It's called Alpha Color Charcoal. So now I'm going to try that on this paper. So yeah, really a lot of this is just me doing head studies and redrawing stuff from class, but trying different materials and then seeing how they look until I find a combination of both material and paper that feels like the newsprint does. And I wish there was something that had the surface of newsprint, but was thick. Let's see here. Pardon me. Let me get a sip of coffee here. So Voyager says, the advertising market here is omnivore. If you show them something original that was handmade, decent, and artistic, I guess they would definitely want to buy that. I don't mind the cost. I think the amount of exposure it would give me. There is one thing that I want you to consider is that my country is a third world, oil production reliant cafe culture. There's no art competition whatsoever. This is an advantage. Well, no, I think it's good that you're aware of what your advantages versus disadvantages are. I would say then that if time isn't an issue in terms of being able to sit down and make a portfolio piece, if there isn't other ways that you could be using that time to bring in money, then by all means, do a pitch promotional piece. The other thing I would ask is the market, the advertising market, I'm trying to think of another word. The word I'm thinking of is insular, But what I mean is just, is it the kind of market where you can actually reach out to the people who do the advertising, or is it like you have to be connected? You have to already know somebody inside of the company, or you need to know somebody in the advertising or marketing department in order to even make a presentation? Or is it the one, do you have those connections? Because those connections always help whether you need them or not. But two is just, is it the type of environment where you're going to need to know somebody before you can show your work? So, but other than that, it sounds like you have a good sense of what you want to do and what sells in your market. So I would say with those understandings, go for it. Let's see here. I see Omar in the chat. Hey, Omar, how you doing? Thank you for dropping by. Doing some charcoal drawing, testing out some papers. Let's see here. So now I'm redrawing this piece here, and I don't think I'm going to get the wacky hair. Well, maybe I will get the wacky hair that he has. Something else that that I will mention, Voyager, because I just feel like it's important to give a caveat. Advertising art is not my field of expertise. So I am always happy to give people my thoughts and feedback. But I will say that I've never worked full-time in advertising. I've worked for an advertising agency many, many years ago. But in terms of making a full-time living by doing presentations, pitching art projects, and selling them to clients, that is not something that I have done. And it is worthwhile to also seek out artists who specialize in that. I think it's what you're doing right now, just in terms of like asking other people, is this a good business or a bad business move? Should I pursue this? I think that you're doing the right thing in terms of just asking people. But what I'm trying to say is you should definitely reach out to more artists and try to find artists who specialize in advertising and doing client work, because I think they'll be able to give you much better feedback than I can. And I always like to, excuse me, I always like to be completely clear and upfront when I don't have the answers to questions, because it would not be fair to you for me to pretend that I know everything about this market and give you advice that might actually be hurtful to you when there are other people who know the market better, the advertising market better than I do. If there was a particular artist that I had in mind that I could point you at, I would do so. But there isn't anyone. Like most of the artists that I know are either comic book creators or they are indie animators who are just doing work for themselves, for art festivals, or they are teachers and they just do animation. They do animation because that's what they teach. But, you know, they're more making their income from education than they are from the animation itself. Let's see here. Voyager says, from the look of it, they will pay for it. With regard to the time, I have the time. I say they will buy it from the look of their ads. They're so freaking bad and lack creativity. Well, then you should definitely go for it, because it sounds like you have a very good idea of what will and won't sell in your market. And, you know, also the fact of the matter is it's people who try that succeed. If someone were to say, no, don't do this, don't do that, for whatever reason, you know, how are you ever going to know what could have been? it sounds like you have the skills. You see an opportunity in the market, you should go for it. You said you have the time to do it. So really, it doesn't sound like you have anything to lose at all by at least going for the opportunity. Do it. I look forward to it, and I look forward to hearing how it goes. So this charcoal does not spread well on this paper. Yeah, this is really not it. It's a nice paper, but I think that this is something that probably maybe for ink and colored pencil would work well, but for charcoal, it's not really giving me, excuse me, it's not really giving me what I need. Let's see here. And Voyager says, I truly appreciate your impetus to help. I just want some advice on animation rather than business. Well, let's see here. In animation, I have not done animation in a very, very long time. So I'm trying to think. The last time I did animation, I was using Flash, and it was before Flash was actually owned by Adobe. It was when Flash was a separate company called Macromedia. That was the last time I did animation. So well over 20 years ago. So, I mean, there are definitely people. There's an artist named Corey Kerr, who does a lot of animation on YouTube and shares his process. He's a really cool guy. Met him in person. Had time to hang out with him. Here, if you just look up his name on YouTube, look up Corey. Check out his YouTube channel. He has tons of videos about animation and animation process. And I think you can get a lot of good feedback. He's not posting new videos for the next few months, not until next year, because he's kind of like rebooting his channel and changing some stuff. But that said, he has a lot of existing videos that I think would be helpful. And if you leave comments, even with him being kind of offline, he probably would still reply if you have questions to ask him if you comment on his video. So definitely check out Corey. Let's see here. When it comes to choosing the combination of materials, I find it the most laborious task. I use pencil and printing paper for daily training, but when I do projects, I use more rougher paper. Well, for me, when it comes to doing client work, anything that is being done for someone other than me, I will very rarely use traditional material. I almost always will draw digitally. And the reason for that is because clients always want changes. It's not because they're mean and they want to put me through the paces. The same way that I have a creative vision, the clients have a vision of how they want their product to be represented. And no matter how well we plan things out, there's always going to be things where they look at and go like, that doesn't work for me. That isn't what I envisioned. Or there's a reason why we can't do that. Or we want to differentiate from our competitor a little bit more. Point being, digital makes it easier to make revisions. Doing traditional work, revisions can be very, very time consuming. Both redrawing them on paper, depending on the material the medium that you're drawing with. I don't know what type of animation software you have access to, or what type of computer or digital tablet you have access to. But I will say that I am a fan of Procreate's just general drawing app. And I've heard very good things about their animation software, Procreate Dreams. And I don't know how much would be in your budget to purchase that software, because I think it's like $20 US, which for an animation program is very, very good. But if you're in a third world country, that might be a lot of money. So, I wish that my buddy Amar B was in the chat, because he's another animator. He actually animates in 3D. He uses Blender, which is a free program. Oh, wait, you know what? I don't even know why I didn't think of that. If you're familiar with the program Blender, it's a free program. It is a 3D modeling program, but it is capable of doing two-dimensional drawing. I believe it has a mode called Grease Pencil, where you can just draw directly in it the same way you would draw in any other animation program. And I know that you mentioned that that Adobe Animate, that the people that have done animated ads for the client you're going after, and that you've mentioned that it was, cheap looking and not well done. I would not blame that on the Adobe software. I would blame that on the craft or the skill of the people doing it, or the budget and the time that they were allowed to spend to make the piece. Maybe they had to make it very quickly. Because the software itself, I don't think there's anything wrong with Adobe software in terms of using it to animate. I would say that if the animation, the crappy animation that you've seen that phone company bought, if it's crappy, it's not crappy because it was done in Adobe. It's crappy because the artists that did it were not able to execute it to a high degree, for a variety of reasons. We don't know what those reasons are. Maybe they weren't good artists. Maybe they had a bunch of changes they had to make last minute. Maybe they had to make it very, very quickly. Maybe they were paid so little for it that they didn't spend a lot of time on it. I also find I might be overly nice, but I find it hard to look at a piece of artwork another person did and just say, that's bad. I try to think about all of the reasons and all of the things that might have kept them from doing their best work. And in the end, if someone is just a bad artist, then maybe they are just a bad artist. But I like to think of it as in all of us are in this together, and all of us have reasons why we do good work, and then we do work that's not as good as we like. That's not to say that you shouldn't go after their job. Go for it. Excuse me. A few more comments. Let me go back up in here. I see Kingslow Fitness in the chat. He mentions a good reference book for animation is The Animator Survival Kit by Richard Williams. I second that recommendation. I don't have it anymore, but there was a time when I was pursuing animation, and I definitely had that book. And it's a very useful book for outlining the actual production process, figuring out your timing, figuring out your poses, your layout, walk cycles, actual pose-to-pose movement, storytelling in general. It is an excellent book if you can get your hands on it. Voyager mentions there's also Aaron Blaise, who's a traditional Disney animator type of artist. He is also a GOAT. I completely agree. And I will tell you that Aaron Blaise was one of the artists that did a demo piece for Procreate Dreams. So if you want to see Aaron Blaise using this software that I'm talking about, I'm sure it's on his channel. But if you were to just type in Procreate Dreams and his name, you will find when they did the announcement for this animation software, Aaron Blaze's piece was one of the pieces that Procreate, they contracted Aaron Blaze to do a demonstration piece to show people this is what happens when you give a great traditional animator really, really good animation software. And he created an animated short just for the reveal and announcement of the animation software. I would go and definitely check that out. And knowing the stuff that's on Aaron Blaze's YouTube channel, I'm sure that he's got videos showing his process of developing this, developing the actual animation. So he can show you how he did it. Yeah, Voyager says, to be honest with you, Jeremy, I don't like digital art. It spoils the craft aspect of it. I do have a decent PC, a tablet, and a drawing board. I just hate digital art. And he says, yeah, nothing wrong with the software. Yes, it's the artists that are here. They're just bad. Well, if they suck, it's your chance to eat their lunch. Well, I always say that creators should use the work that suits them the best. If digital art is not enjoyable for you, if you do not enjoy making it, that I think is it's fair. You know what you do and don't like using. The only thing I will tell you is that I do think it will be challenging to do work for clients and working only traditionally, because I'm aware, even in my day job, most of our work is making changes to things. I work as a toy designer. It's a fun job, but there's a lot of revision, a lot of changes that have to make. And if I had to hand draw all of those changes every single time, it would take forever to get anything done. So I think that you can probably use the fact that you are selling your work as somebody who is doing 100% original, traditional work. But I think the work itself might be really challenging to do that way. So that said, I mean, you're still going to have to use software for editing. So it really sounds like it comes down to you want to draw traditionally, scan your drawings in, and then just edit them together into the actual animation. I think you also need to decide whether you want to do your color and your ink and paint traditionally versus digitally. And I will say that even if you're going to hand draw the animation, maybe you should do a couple of test animations on your own just to decide what workflow works best for you. Because I would say, if anyone else asked me, I would say do as much of it digital as possible. You've said you don't like digital. So what you do need to do is figure out how much you need to do traditional. You might make like a really short film and decide, I need to draw it, do my rough pencils, do my inks, and do all of my color by hand. You may try that and see and discover that, you know what, this really will be easier for me if I just do my rough lines and my cleanup traditionally and then do the color digitally. You may decide to do all of the rough animation by hand and then do the cleanup and the ink and paint digitally. This now comes down to your personal choices. It comes down to what is going to work best for you. And no one can tell you do it this way or do it that way. You need to actually try it on your own and see what works well for you. See where you may find places where you will appreciate the digital tools. I figure if you know Aaron Blaise, you might also be familiar with the animator Bill Plimpton. He does, I don't know if all of it, I mean, when I look at his work, it all looks hand-drawn to me. I don't know how much, if any, digital plays a role in Bill Plimpton's work. He has a YouTube channel, so you can look him up on YouTube. And also, right before this live stream, if you go onto my YouTube channel, I had an interview with a friend of mine, Jim Lujan. He is also an animator. He's an amazing animator. He's been doing independent animation for years. And we didn't talk too much about the tools that he uses, but mostly when we talk about digital tools, we talked about Final Cut Pro. That's what he uses to actually, edit and sequence this animation and actually do the animation itself. But in terms of drawing, I think he draws all digital now. But we didn't even get into that conversation because so much of it was just about the larger aspects of storytelling and craft and just catching up and joking a little bit. Let me look at some of the more comments down here. Let's see. So Kingslow Fitness says, on the iPad, rough animator reminds me of old school Flash layout. Calipeg is great, but a little learning curve to it. So those are a couple of other digital animation tools to look at. And Voyager saw that, and he says, thanks, buddy. I will definitely look that up. Let's see here. Kingslow Fitness says, today they're comparing Procreate Dreams versus ToonSquid versus Calipeg. Top 3 animation in iPad. Voyager says, I'm an isolated type of guy, no Facebook, no IG, no posting my art and all that. I am a bit complicated. Aren't we all, man? I get it. However, I see that people here are posting and sharing. I can eat them alive. Well, dude, go for it. I say definitely go for it. You like having a portfolio is not the same as having an Instagram account. So you're definitely going to need to put together a public-facing body of sample work to show clients, to give them a sense of what they are looking, what you can do for them. You know who else is an animator who does really cool commercial work? Peter Chung, the animator who did, hang on, I gotta pause for a second. I have to blow my nose. I'm drowning in snot over here. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. Horrible. So, what was I gonna say? Oh, Peter Chung. He's the creator of Aeon Flux. He's also done Fire Breather on Nickelodeon. He's done a couple of other animated films or animated series. I remember looking at his portfolio, and I think he did a bunch of really cool Nike commercials. he's somebody who is worth looking at in terms of like maybe just doing some sample pieces. Like maybe what you do is you pick 3 businesses, local businesses that you think could really benefit from your work. And maybe you do just a 5-second, 10-second sample piece. That way you've got a variety. Maybe, or you know what? I say maybe start with start with the original plan. Your original plan was do a piece of animation for that commercial, that phone company, sell that piece to them. Maybe start with that. Just write down a commercial. Just create your beats for it. Make a simple piece, reach out to them, get it in front of them, and say, this can sell your work better than what you already have. Do one piece, see if you can sell it to them. If they sell it, great. Do another piece that's different and try to sell them another one. Build a business just off of one client at a time. Then start thinking, all right, who else can I sell pieces to? Let's see here. Let's see. Wait, I missed a comment there. Voyager said, I know the digital method is a lot easier. I'm thinking of selling physical original material afterwards if that ad worked. Well, hell, first off, I think that is a very, very smart approach. Being able to sell something more than once. I've heard artists say, draw something once, get paid for it as many times as possible. Excuse me. I think that is a good approach. I don't know necessarily what would be in a animated commercial that would be a piece of original art that people would necessarily want to buy. But the fact that you're already thinking, I can make one piece of artwork and find multiple ways to sell it, I think that's a good approach. Now, mind you, working digitally, you can also sell prints of work. And you know your market better than I do. But just because something is done digital doesn't mean you can't sell prints of it later on. And you can't sell a print for as much as you can sell an original for, but you can sell a print over and over and over again. So if it's something that's popular, you might actually be able to make more money selling those prints than you would trying to get a one-time sale of an original. Now, again, if you do an original, you can still make prints of that. So you can get the one-time high price sale plus getting those prints. So these are all things that there's no right answer. There's just trying shit and seeing what works. And I think that's actually kind of one of the most irritating things about being an artist is that there are no tried and true one answer fits every artist answers. You just gotta try shit, see how it goes. Let's see here. James says digital is convenient because it's faster and easier to correct mistakes. He said, teachers who teach animation. I may want to get in touch with them. Voyager says, take care. You might want to wear something with that shirt. You might catch a nasty cold. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm on the recovery. I thought that I was on the recovery side of this cold, but it just seems to keep lingering. By the way, for anyone that actually gives a shit about what I'm drawing, I'm now switching to, oddly enough, I did not know that Strathmore made sheets of marker paper. So it's smooth surface marker paper. And I want to try this out because this is even smoother than the Bristol board that I use. And I wanted to see if this could give me a nice soft tone. And I like the way it feels so far. Now, part of this is also the fact that I sharpened this very bluntly. So all I did was sand this down into a shape, but that shape still has coned edges on it. So like this is still has corners even on the rounded pieces, as opposed to being a completely soft round cone. So that might be another reason why I'm not getting smooth, soft tones on this. But maybe as I use it more and wear it down a little bit, it might work a little bit better. Let's see here. So Voyager says, I already have the idea and the plot of the ad. It will show how the signal can reach space. The company name is the orbit, so you can see where I'm going. All right, cool. That very straightforward, very direct and simple. You're just bringing the fact that you have artistic skills beyond what the people that have done their ads in the past have. So it sounds like you've got a really good sense of what you want to do and how to execute it. I think the best advice I can give you is you're going to have to make that animated short and use whatever software you're going to use to edit it together. And then once you do that, you're going to have to look at what was hard to do traditionally. What would you be willing to use digital tools for? And then refine your process. Because I know there's nothing more irritating than saying, I don't like working in digital, and have people keep telling you, well, did you try this software? Did you try that software? No one wants to hear that shit. I know that. But I also know that whatever your process, even if you stay 100% traditional, you're going to have to develop a workflow as a single animator working by themselves. Because when you come into a studio, you adopt the studio's workflow. However they do it, that's how you do it. You working for yourself, if you haven't done animation before, you have to figure out what works best for your drawing style, your production style, what is easy for you to do, what is fun for you to do, what is a pain in the ass for you to do. And then you need to figure out how are you going to change those things. And that'll be the places where you're either going to adopt some digital tools or you're going to find a traditional way that is easier. So basically what it is that you're going to basically think of this first animated ad that you're going to do as a research project. You're going to use this project. If you haven't done animation before, this project is going to be your school to teach you how to animate. Like I said, I haven't done animation in a long time, so I am not the guy to teach someone the step-by-step of how to do it. I think that there are a lot of videos on YouTube on how to animate traditionally. Corey Kerr is a good guy to look at. He uses digital tools, but he still explains the animation process. And I think, like for instance, you mentioned Aaron Blaise. We both talked about Aaron Blaise. Even though he's using digital tools, he's a traditional animator and he's great at it. And he explains his process as well. So what I would do is sit down and go through a couple of animation tutorials and just start working on that short and trying different workflows. See what it looks like to just draw the whole thing out in 2D pencil, scan all of those pages, bring them in and watch it as a rough animation. Because you may decide that that's all you need is just drawing it all by hand and then just clean up and color digitally. But I think you will learn a lot by the simple act of drawing the rough animation for this, 15, 30 seconds, 10 to 15 second animation, drawing it out, scanning it in, and watching it play on screen. Because from there, you can look at it and say, all right, what does this need in order for me to finish it? And from there, you may decide that I need to have some elements that are done in a vector color program. I may need to do some stuff in a digital painting program, and you can add what you need from there. So you can look at other artists' workflows, or you can build your own workflow. I feel like you're kind of going to have to do both. It's going to be a lot of research. Some of it might be boring. Some of it might be a pain in the ass, but it sounds like you love drawing. So lean into your love of drawing to keep you motivated during the exploration and the research phase. So let's see here. By the way, James had mentioned when we were talking about selling and reselling work, James said prints are a good route. Yeah, I definitely sell prints of a lot of my work on my website, although I want to get some more originals, which that's part of this whole experiment. As I spent so much time doing figure studies, I wanted to find a process of doing figure studies that I could sell. And I think that, hell, Conti crayon might be the trick. Conti crayon and marker paper might be the trick. So Voyager says, yes, it would be an experiment. And if I didn't come up with the best, if it didn't come up to be the way I wanted it to be, I'm talking Disney quality, I wouldn't even show it to them. I'll refine it over and over. I have time. All right, good. It sounds very much like you've got a sense of where you want to go with this. And I wish you the best. I wish you the best. I will say that you might want to find a Discord server or a group of artists that also do animation. And you don't need to be on Instagram and have your work shared out to the world. But it would be useful to find other animators who are willing to give you feedback. And even if it's critical feedback, just people that aren't out just to trash people or make them feel crappy, because there's no point in that. But it is worthwhile to find people who are more experienced, who can look at something and say, I see what you're trying to do. This part isn't working. Try it this way, and maybe that'll help you. And finding a community like that isn't easy. That unto itself is a research project. But I think that it will benefit you to find other animators online that are doing independent animation, that are open to sharing feedback, talking with others, sharing their process. In fact, I will tell you, schoolism. So animator Bobby Chu started an online school called Schoolism. Now, I am signed up for Schoolism, and I am not an affiliate. I'm not getting paid to say this. They have a lot of great courses for both beginners, amateur artists, professional artists, people, and artists that are just trying to refine their skill set. But if you don't want to pay for the school, they have a Discord server for free that you can sign up for. I don't participate in that server as much as I should, but they have an ongoing group of people that are all studying and trying to help people improve. Oh, by the way, Voyager says, for some reason, I can't see James' chat. Hi, James. The reason why you can't see James' chat, and it's very nice of you to shout out to him. The reason why you can't see James' chat is because I'm streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch at the same time. And the problem is I can see all of the chats. However, you can only see the chats that are on the platform you're on. So James only sees the chats. That's the other reason why I tend to put the comments on the screen, is because, you know, James can only see the chats of people on Facebook that are also chatting. You can only see other YouTube people. The people on Twitch can only see Twitch chats. So I kind of have to share everybody so that we can all hear all of the conversation. All of us are getting little bits of it. Oh, I did not know this. Interesting. James says, I can see the ones from YouTube. Did not know that. I thought that you were only seeing them because I was putting them on the screen. All right, well, you know, a lot of people, there you go. That is a benefit of Facebook, is that you can see chats from the other panel, from other platforms. With YouTube, I guess YouTube and Twitch, I guess you only see what YouTube and Twitch has. Excuse me. Let's see here. Let's see here. Kingslow Fitness says, at times when I sketch, I may have made the mistake. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. The whole reason why I brought up Schoolism is that Schoolism has a Discord server. And the Discord server is free. You don't have to pay to sign up for it. It is a very robust community, and it's a community of it's a student community. So it's a lot of people that are learning, a lot of people that are beginners. But the thing that I like about it is that it is a supportive environment. It's not an environment where people are trying to trash each other or prove that this artist is better than that artist. It's a very, very supportive environment. And I feel like that is way more beneficial than like the death trap. Like every artist is trying to kick every other artist's ass and prove who's the most badass. And it's a lot of people that have a lot of knowledge about both traditional and digital art methods. A lot of people that are studying animation. The point is that it's free, so you don't lose anything by joining and just lurking. You don't even have to go in there and comment. You can just look around, see what people are posting, see if it's an environment that would help you. But I think that it is something that in terms of you figuring out how you want to work as an animator, it's worth checking out. So go just do a search for Schoolism. Actually, it might be called Lightbox. So because they have a in-person event called Lightbox Expo. So try. If you just do a search for a Lightbox Discord, you will find the link for the public sign up, and you can just sign up for it, look around, see what you can find. Hang on a second. I got to blow my nose again with this horrible cold I'm fighting off. All right. I'm back. So let's see here. All right. Right. We covered the Discord thing. Kingslow Fitness says, at times when I sketch, I may have made a mistake at an angle of the figure and then correct it. The non-correction always reminds me of animation being a little off perspective. Yeah. I mean, as you can see, even here with this little sketch that I'm doing, I'm getting used to trying to get soft, simple marks. But a lot of this is you putting down a line and then realizing, oh, that's off. I need to shift this line over a little bit. You know, one eye is too high or too low. And having to make these figurative adjustments, these structural adjustments to the drawing. You know, little things like that. But yeah, I can definitely see the relationship between the corrections we make to drawings versus, versus animation. Let's see here. Kingslow Fitness also says, I love testing iPad apps. I'm surprised about not having Toon Squid. I actually bought it to test it to see if it's as easy of a learning curve, maybe better than Calpeg's learning curve. You know what's funny? I've never even heard of Calipeg before, but that's because I'm not in the animation circles. I think animation is really cool, but I did animation when I was in college. And when I got out, I couldn't find any full-time work in animation. And I found that if I was doing work just on my own, I preferred comics to animation. So if anything, I'm probably more interested in storyboarding than I am being a full-on animator. But again, my tendency leans more towards comics when it comes to independent projects. Let's see here. Sorry, it took me a little while to get to your comment, Herman. Herman just popped in, said, "What's good, Jeremy in chat? Good to see you, Herman. What's good? Thank you for popping in." Let's see here. Voyager says, "This little chat with you has already taught me a lot. I know that there's a ton of free YouTube animation tutorials and books, and now this Discord server. I will definitely join right now." Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that's helpful. Both in art and gaming, you can find the best communities out there. I don't even know how to thank you for all the time and insight you guys have given me in the chat. Love you guys. Dude, love you too. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I just feel like I'm glad that, I'm sitting here, a guy just producing artwork on my own and sharing it on the internet. So if I can do anything to help my fellow creatives, I'm grateful for that, because I've had a lot of people in my life that have taught me a lot. So just the ability to share anything or point people in the right direction. I'm glad that I can be of service to my fellow artists, because, making art is hard and it can be lonely. And it's weird because artists are kind of like cats in that sense that we're like, I'm all alone and I'm lonely. Leave me alone. Because we kind of want to be left alone so we can focus. But everyone I think needs a sense of community at some point or some sense, or just people to help us say, hey, try this, try that. Just to be able to bounce things off of people that are conversations you can't really have with anybody else. There's certain things that only creative people talk about or ask about or wonder about. And so it's nice to be able to have that and share that with people. So I appreciate you, and I'm glad that you got something out of this conversation. And I hope that it leads you to the work that you want to produce and the clients that you want to get. And I wish you all the success. We're gonna wrap this stream up here. But I'm extremely grateful for all of you guys that have been hanging out here, and every time you guys drop in to visit. See here, Herman says, "I hear you, bro. That's why I left social media and posting my work, because of the negativity. It's rare you can find a group of people that actually want to vibe together peacefully and create stuff." Well, I hope that I can create some of that here. We have a community tab on the YouTube page. So anytime people want to post and leave comments and talk about stuff, we can do that there. And again, I've always got the Patreon. We've got a Discord server that's just for Patreon. I kind of keep it that way just because I want to make it something I just want it to be something that's a little bit special beyond stuff that's just public conversation. And it's also a place where we can share stuff that we're not ready to share with the wider world. So I like that. And for people that are either new or haven't watched in a while, definitely hit that like button. If you're a new viewer, hit that subscribe button. If there's somebody you think might enjoy these videos and these live streams, hit that share button. Help spread the word. Let's see here. Oh, hey, Martin's in the chat. Hey, Martin, good to see you. Thanks for rolling in. Says exactly, shop talk. That's what we're doing. This is the kind of talk. I've been lucky enough to work in environments where I'm working with multiple artists, and just being able to be at our respective drawing tables and just chopping it up, throwing out conversation about what we're doing, why we do it, process stuff. That's the kind of thing that you really start to appreciate when you don't have it. Shop talk can be a very fun and powerful thing. Anyway, I was talking about the well, you know what? Let's switch back to the me cam, the Jeremy cam. And I had mentioned this is going to be the last public live stream of the year. So I'll be back maybe the second week of January. Going to have a little bit of time off, but we're going to do one more Patreon exclusive live stream this year. So if you go to patreon.com/Jeremy, it's patreon.com/GERIMI. You can sign up for as little as $2 a month. You get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord server. You get access to our Patreon exclusive live streams, and it's a series we do called Art Book Study Group. It's where we do deep dives into some of the best art books around. We've been doing a long-running series on Walt Reed's The Figure, and these aren't just the normal hour-long live streams. These are 2.5, sometimes 3-hour-long live streams where we just sit, do studies from it. People can log on to the voice channel. Instead of just typing comments, you can actually talk. We can have a conversation while we're drawing, while we're studying. You can share stuff in the Discord server. I can do drawovers. All of that for as little as $2 a month gets you in the door. There's higher tiers for higher rewards, but you just head on over to patreon.com/Jeremy. It's patreon.com/GERIMI. There are links in the description for the video. If you'd like to get a free digital sketchbook. Oh, last thing. This week's Art Book Study Group, it's going to be Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that'll translate to whatever time you're doing. And if you can't make it live, the replay will be posted afterwards. And there's an archive of all of the replays. So there's literally hundreds of hours of these videos already there for you to watch. If you want to sign up now just to watch the existing videos, hop on and you go in there and just go into the Art Book Study Group tag, and you can see all of the previous videos. Newsletter. If you'd like to get a free digital sketchbook, blog post about what I'm reading, what I'm watching, what's inspiring me, you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter at newsletter.jeremy.net. And if you'd like to purchase physical copies of my comic books or free digitally on Kindle, you can go to amazon.jeremy.net. You can pick up books like my first graphic novel. I'm the artist, writer, gray toner, inker. I pretty much did everything except run it through the printing press. Eye of the Gods is a standalone, done in one book. It's a psychological thriller about a man cursed with visions he cannot control. You can also pick up my most recent project, Morningstar. Morningstar is a retelling of Lucifer's fall from heaven, but told as a Western. It's an 8-issue series. Volume 1 contains issues 1 through 4. Volume 2 contains the conclusion, issues 5 through 8. Both volumes have extensive back matter. There's script excerpts, character designs, page layouts, thumbnails, photo reference. I basically show you how I put the entire books together. And if you want to see what's inside the book before picking it up, head on over to my YouTube channel. If you scroll down to book flip-throughs, there are book flip-throughs for all of these books. You can see what's inside before you pick them up. All right, guys. So let's see here. Last couple of comments before we wrap. Herman says, all right, people, class, you have a good one. Hope to catch you all in the next stream with Master Jeremy. That is kind of you to say. I do not consider myself a master. I consider myself a fellow art journeyer. I have so much to learn, but I appreciate you guys taking that journey with me. Kingslow Fitness says, in animation, you need to create a story from jump. So the story towards storyboard, comics, storyboarding is like keyframes in animation. What's added is the in-between. Voyager says, it's been fun, insightful, wholesome chat with y'all. Looking forward to seeing you again. All right, like I said, it's going to be the last one for 2023, but hopefully you hit that subscribe button so you'll see when I've got new ones back in January. Kingslow Fitness says, your Discord channel is like this. Get together on a daily. Highly recommended. Thank you. And thank you for being a Patreon subscriber and a supporter of the work. I appreciate you, man. Let's see. Herman says, Jeremy, your books are on Amazon, right? Could be a Christmas gift for myself. They are on Amazon. Definitely pick them up. I sell them directly on my website, but the nice thing about Amazon is if you order from there and you've got Amazon Prime, you get free shipping. Voyager gave a shout out to Kingslow Fitness. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And let's see here. And Martin, always good to learn with you. thank you, man. Appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys. I love you guys. You make this art journey so much more vibrant, having people along with me as I'm exploring and I'm learning and I'm trying to push my skills and grow. I hope that I'm motivating you guys to do the same. Thank you so much. That's it for now. Go be creative.